The Shy Hero and the Assassin Princesses, a comedic action fantasy anime adapted from Norishiro-chan and Yukiji Setsuda's manga by Studio Connect, thrives on its absurd premise. A bashful hero unwittingly adventuring with 3 assassins tasked to kill him. Episode 2, The Hero's First Quest, aired on July 12, 2025, on Abema Premium and Crunchyroll, following the first episode's introduction of Toto and his deadly companions, Seal, Anemone, and Goa. This episode focuses on their first group quest, blending slapstick humor with hints of deeper character dynamics. I'm instantly hooked by the episode's chaotic energy, a whirlwind of misfired assassination attempts and unexpected heroism that feels like a playful jab at fantasy tropes, leaving me eager to dissect its quirky charm. Episode 1 established Toto, an E-rank adventurer crippled by shyness, forming a party with Seal, Anemone, and Goa, unaware of their secret mission to assassinate him. Episode 2 transitions to their first official quest, defeating a nest of monstrous slimes in a nearby forest. As the trio attempts to kill Toto, each taking turns with increasingly absurd plans, Toto's oblivious strength saves them from their own blunders. Anemone's encounter with a slave trader adds a moral edge to the adventure, while the group's bickering hints at budding camaraderie. The episode ends with the slimes defeated and the assassins' plans thwarted, leaving their mission in disarray and new questions about their motives. Episode 2 advances the plot by thrusting Toto's party into their first collective challenge, reinforcing the comedic tension of the assassins' failed attempts to kill him. A key turning point occurs when Anemone, disguised as a priest, intervenes to save a young girl from a slave trader, revealing a moral compass that complicates her assassin role. This moment shifts the narrative slightly, suggesting the trio's motives may evolve. The episode fulfills its role in the arc by establishing the group's adventuring dynamic while raising questions. Will the assassins' resolve weaken? What drives their mission? I find the pacing brisk but uneven, with the slime battle feeling rushed compared to the slower, banter-heavy setup. The rapid resolution of the assassination attempts, while funny, leaves me wanting more stakes. Toto, Shunsuke Takeuchi, Anemone Hitomi Ueda, Seal, Iori Seki, and Goa Haruka Shiraishi are central, with Anemone stealing the spotlight. Toto's shyness remains consistent, his flustered fainting spell during Goa's provocative taunts, reinforcing his endearing obliviousness. Anemone's decision to rescue the girl, paired with her fierce, "no one deserves that fate," unveils a compassionate side, hinting at internal conflict. Seal's competitive scheming and Goa's toned-down dominatrix antics, seen in her failed trap with enchanted ropes, add humor but less growth. I really appreciate Anemone's nuanced portrayal, which adds depth to her character, but I'm against the static development for Seal and Goa, whose one-note antics risk redundancy. The episode explores themes of deception, morality, and unintended bonds. The assassin's futile attempts to kill Toto, juxtaposed with his instinctive heroism, poke fun at the absurdity of hidden motives, reminiscent of Konosuba's satirical take on adventuring. Anemone's stand against the slave trader introduces a moral thread, challenging the amorality of her assassin role and suggesting redemption. I find this theme engaging, as it questions whether good deeds can coexist with ulterior motives, though I think the comedic focus occasionally overshadows the moral weight, making the message feel fleeting. The episode introduces the forest setting and the concept of monster hunting quests, grounding the fantasy world in familiar RPG tropes. The slimes, described as gummy horrors with staring eyes, add a unique twist to the genre's conventions. References to the guild's ranking system and the slave trader's presence hint at a darker underbelly to the world's economy. I appreciate how these elements create a lived-in fantasy setting, though I personally don't understand why the episode doesn't explore the assassin's origins or the guild structure, which could deepen the narrative stakes. The dialogue is sharp and comedic, with Toto stammered, I just want to help, capturing his earnestness. Anemone's fierce declaration during the slave trader scene carries emotional weight, while Seal and Goa's bickering, like Goa's "my ropes were perfect," feels playful but repetitive. I think the writing shines in character-driven humor but stumbles in over-relying on slapstick, with some gags, like Goa's failed seduction, feeling cliched. The script maintains a lighthearted tone but could benefit from sharper pacing to balance its comedy and emerging drama. Studio Connect's animation is serviceable but inconsistent, with the slime battle showcasing fluid motion in Toto's one-shot attacks but faltering in character outlines, which appear shaky in close-ups. The art style, faithful to the manga's bold lines, gives the slimes a grotesque, horror-coded design that I find refreshingly unique. Anemone's fight with the slave trader, framed against a stark forest backdrop, is a visually striking moment, though static crowd scenes disrupt immersion. I'm disappointed by the uneven quality, which doesn't match the manga's vibrancy, but I appreciate the creative monster designs. Noriaki Akitaya's direction uses dynamic angles, like a low shot of Anemone's blade slashing through the slave trader, to amplify her ferocity. absurdity. The editing paces the comedy well, with quick cuts during the assassin's failed attempts enhancing the absurdity, reminiscent of the disastrous life of Seiki K's rapid-fire humor. I really appreciate the forest's muted greens, which contrast Todo's bright heroism, though I think the battle's rushed choreography lessens its impact. The cinematography crafts a lively yet chaotic mood, supporting the comedic tone but struggling with dramatic beats. Shun Narita's score, with playful strings during the slime battle and a somber violin for Anemone's moral stand, underscores the tonal shifts effectively. The opening, Tenden Barabara, by Yoshino, sets a zany tone, while the ending, Suki Magazine by the female leads, adds a cheeky charm. Sound effects, like the slime squelching and the clink of Anemone's blade, are crisp but unremarkable. I find the OST fitting but repetitive, leaning on similar upbeat motifs. Still, it enhances the episode's humor and brief emotional moments. Shunsuke Takeuchi's Todo is pitch perfect, his trembling delivery during fainting spells conveying both strength and vulnerability. Hitomi Ueda's Anemone shines, her fierce tone in the slave trader scene radiating conviction. Iori Seki and Haruka Shiraishi as Seal and Goa deliver comedic energy, though their performances feel less nuanced. I'm particularly impressed by Ueda's ability to balance Anemone's lethality and compassion, anchoring the episode's emotional weight. The episode evokes amusement, mild tension, and a touch of warmth. Anemone's rescue of the girl is a standout moment, stirring admiration for her unexpected morality. The assassin's failed attempts, like Seal's misfired spell, spark chuckles but grow predictable. I'm left reflecting on the tension between duty and ethics, wondering how the assassin's motives will evolve. The episode's lighthearted chaos leaves a pleasant but not profound impression, prompting me to question whether the comedy can sustain deeper stakes. The major philosophical lesson of episode 2 is the complexity of morality in the face of deception. Through Anemone's compassionate act and the assassin's failure to kill Todo, the episode suggests that good intentions can challenge ulterior motives, urging us to reconsider the ethics of our actions even when bound by duty. Episode 2 of The Shy Hero and the Assassin Princesses excels in its comedic energy, unique monster designs, and Anemone's surprising depth, using the quest to highlight the absurdity of the assassin's mission. Its strengths lie in strong voice acting, particularly Ueda's, and playful character dynamics, but the uneven animation and repetitive gags weaken its impact. I appreciate how it sets up the group's dynamic while hinting at moral complexity, but I didn't like the rushed battle and underdeveloped Seal and Goa. The episode achieves its goal of delivering humor and advancing the premise, making it an enjoyable, if flawed, chapter. I anticipate future episodes will lean into the assassin's evolving motives and the world's darker undercurrents, potentially elevating this quirky series into a standout comedy. The Shy Hero and the Assassin Princesses, a comedic action fantasy anime adapted from Norishiro-chan and Yukiji Setsuda's manga by Studio Connect, revels in its absurd premise of a bashful hero, Todo, adventuring alongside three assassins, Seal, Anemone, and Goa, who are secretly tasked with his demise. Episode 3, The Shy Hero and the Secret Rendezvous, aired on July 19, 2025, on Abema Premium and Crunchyroll, building on the second episode's establishment of the group's chaotic adventuring dynamic. This episode shifts focus to a quieter, character-driven narrative, exploring the assassin's growing doubts through a covert meeting and Todo's unexpected heroism. I'm immediately drawn into the episode's playful yet poignant tone, a delightful mix of slapstick and subtle emotional undercurrents that feels like a mischievous wink at the audience, inviting me to unravel its quirky depths. Episode 2 saw Todo's party tackle a slime hunting quest, with the assassin's failed attempts to kill him overshadowed by Anemone's moral stand against a slave trader, hinting at their evolving motives. Episode 3 slows the pace, focusing on a secret meeting where Seal, Anemone, and Goa discuss their faltering assassination plans, revealing personal stakes tied to their mission. Meanwhile, Todo takes on a solo quest to retrieve a lost artifact, inadvertently saving a village from a rogue beast. The episode culminates in the assassins witnessing Todo's selfless act, deepening their internal conflicts and leaving their mission in further disarray, with new questions about their loyalty to their employers. Episode 3 advances the plot by shifting from external action to internal conflict, emphasizing the assassin's wavering resolve. A pivotal moment occurs during their clandestine meeting, where Seal's frustrated we're supposed to kill him, not admire him, reveals their growing respect for Todo, marking a subtle turning point in their dynamic. The episode fulfills its role in the arc by deepening the tension between their mission and their budding camaraderie, raising new questions. Who hired the assassins and why? Can their loyalty shift entirely? I find the pacing deliberate but effective, balancing the quiet meeting with Todo's brief but intense beast fight, though the resolution of the village quest feels rushed, leaving me wanting more exploration of its aftermath. Todo, Shunsuke Takeuchi, Seal, Iori Seki, Anemone, Hitomi Ueda, and Goa, Haruka Shiraishi, drive the episode, with Anemone and Seal taking center stage. Todo's solo quest reveals a selfless streak, his quiet, someone had to help them, showcasing a heroism that contrasts his shyness. Seal's irritation, seen in her sharp, he's making this harder than it needs to be, exposes her struggle between duty and admiration, while Anemone's reflective silence hints at deeper moral qualms, building on her episode 2 compassion. Goa's playful teasing remains consistent but less prominent, risking stagnation. I really appreciate Seal's nuanced frustration, which adds complexity, but I'm against the minimal growth for Goa, whose one-note humor feels underutilized. The episode explores themes of duty versus empathy, loyalty, and the transformative power of kindness. The assassins' meeting, juxtaposed with Todo's selfless act, questions whether duty can outweigh human connection, echoing Konosuba's blend of humor and heart. Anemone's hesitation, marked by her soft, "he's not what I expected," underscores the theme of empathy eroding prejudice. I find this theme compelling, as it challenges the assassin's initial perceptions, though I think the comedic gags, like Goa's exaggerated flirting, occasionally dilute the emotional stakes, making the message less resonant. The episode introduces the village of Lyris, a rustic settlement with a history of beast attacks, adding depth to the fantasy world's dangers. The artifact, a moonstone relic tied to ancient magic, hints at a broader magical system, while the assassin's mention of a shadowy client suggests a larger conspiracy. I appreciate how these elements ground the narrative in a lived-in world, though I personally don't understand why the episode doesn't delve deeper into the relic's significance or the client's identity, which could elevate the stakes. The dialogue is witty and character-driven, with Seal's exasperated, "he's too nice to kill," capturing her internal conflict with humor. Todo's understated, "I just did what I could," carries quiet strength, while Anemone's reflective lines add depth. However, Goa's flirtatious quips, like, "maybe I'll just charm him to death," feel repetitive and cliched. I think the writing excels in the assassin's introspective moments but falters in over-relying on familiar comedic beats. The script maintains a playful tone but could refine its balance of humor and drama for greater impact. Studio Connect's animation remains inconsistent, with Todo's beast fight showcasing dynamic motion but suffering from shaky character outlines, particularly in close-ups of Seal's frustrated expressions. The art style, faithful to the manga's bold aesthetic, shines in the village's golden-hued fields, creating a warm backdrop for Todo's heroism. A striking moment is Anemone's silhouette watching Todo from afar, though static crowd scenes in the village disrupt immersion. I'm disappointed by the uneven quality, which doesn't fully capture the manga's vibrancy, but I appreciate the creative beast design, with its jagged, shadow-like form. Noriaki Akataya's direction uses tight close-ups on Seal's furrowed brow to convey her turmoil and wide shots of the village to evoke a sense of community. The editing paces the assassins' meeting well, lingering on their conflicted expressions, reminiscent of the disastrous life of Seki K's character-driven humor. I really appreciate the use of soft lighting in the village to underscore Todo's kindness, though I think the beast fight's quick cuts lessen its intensity. The cinematography crafts a warm yet tense mood, supporting the narrative but struggling with action sequences. The episode evokes amusement, warmth, and mild tension. Todo's selfless act, saving the village without seeking praise, stirs admiration, while the assassin's conflicted meeting sparks curiosity about their motives. The moment Anemone watches Todo from a distance, her expression softening, is a standout, lingering like a quiet promise of change. I'm left reflecting on how kindness can reshape relationships, wondering if the assassins will abandon their mission. The episode's warmth leaves a pleasant impression, though its comedic focus tempers deeper emotional resonance. The major philosophical lesson of episode 3 is the power of selfless kindness to challenge entrenched motives. Through Todo's unassuming heroism and the assassin's growing doubts, the episode suggests that genuine compassion can erode even the firmest resolve, urging us to reconsider our obligations in light of human connection. Episode 3 of The Shy Hero and the Assassin Princesses excels in its character-driven humor, emotional depth, and Anemone's evolving complexity, using Todo's heroism to deepen the assassin's conflict. Its strengths lie in strong voice acting, particularly Seki's, and the warm village setting, but the uneven animation and repetitive gags weaken its impact. I appreciate how it shifts focus to internal struggles while maintaining comedic charm, but I didn't like the rushed action and Goa's underdeveloped role. The episode achieves its goal of advancing character dynamics, making it an engaging, if imperfect, chapter. I anticipate future episodes will explore the assassin's backstories and the client's identity, potentially balancing comedy and drama to elevate this quirky series into a standout.